Hey pop shoppers, welcome to Ed Rambeau's Little Corner of the World.
You to me are sweet as roses in the morning. You to me are soft as summer rain at dawn. In love we share, that's something rare. The sidewalks in the street, the concrete and the clay beneath my feet begins to crumble, but love will never die because we'll see.
Good evening, everyone. This is Ed Rambeau, happily welcoming each and every one of my faithful listeners to my little corner of the world. And tonight, I have something very special and unique planned for you. As a matter of fact, I'd venture to say that what you are about to hear within this evening's presentation would be considered unprecedented in the entire history of radio broadcasting. And it's generally something only an angel hears. Now, by angel, I'm referring to the term applied to people who back Broadway shows. I suppose since they invest their money into Broadway productions, Broadway producers, authors, and composers have chosen to refer to these backers as angels. Let me start off by saying that back in the mid-1960s, I came up with an idea for a Broadway musical and presented my idea to my songwriting partner, Bud Rehack. He immediately loved the concept, and the two of us began our collaboration shortly thereafter. We called it STARR DUST. That's two words, and STAR is spelled S-T-A-R-R with a double R. The show was never produced because when we started writing it, the cost of mounting a Broadway show was anywhere between $500,000 to $1 million. And by the time we were near completion, somewhere in the mid-70s, the cost for this particular production would have been somewhere in the vicinity of $5 to $6 million, which was far more than any producer would ever even consider trying to raise money for. At the time, most backer auditions were held in a small room, performed by a group of singers accompanied by one piano. However, since it was only to demonstrate the music, Bud and I decided to record the musical compositions with me doing all the vocal parts, both male and female. And that's what you're about to hear tonight. Demos of 9 of the musical numbers from the show. The only song that isn't performed by me is the opening number. For that song, Bud and I hired a young Broadway ingenue to record it for us. It was so many years ago that I've forgotten the young lady's name, but I do remember her first name was Mary. But before playing the opening number, let me first set the stage. The story begins with our young heroine, Margie Little, on the day she is about to leave her hometown of Oshkosh, Wisconsin, to head for New York City with the dream of becoming a musical star on Broadway. While packing to leave, she mysteriously falls asleep and the entire show becomes a dream sequence about the rise and fall of Miss Margie Little. Near the end of the show, at the conclusion of the dream, Margie wakes up crying and not liking the person she had become. So let's begin the ride. After the musical overture, as the curtain rises to the sound of wind chimes, we see Margie Little in her attic bedroom in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. While packing, she begins to hear voices in her head before she begins singing herself. The room is filled with her childhood doll collection. A life-size Alice in Wonderland is on her bed, along with a life-size Cinderella at the foot of the bed. Peter Pan, also life-size, is up on a shelf. The remainder of the dolls lined up along her shelf are smaller versions of other Disney characters mentioned in the song. Margie, in the midst of packing, is getting ready to go to the big city in hopes of making it big on Broadway while saying goodbye to her beloved doll collection. She lives with her grandmother, whom she calls Gram. You'll also hear Gram in the song. As I said earlier, this is the only song that isn't sung as a demo by myself. All the others, even the female songs, will be sung by me. At the very end of this opening song, Tinkerbell flies in and sprinkles Margie with fairy dust as she lies down on her bed next to Alice. The fairy dust makes Margie drowsy, and on the final note of the song, she falls asleep and the dream begins. Oh, one final thing. It's important to note it's a period piece, meaning the entire story takes place in the year 1965. The first song is called I'm on My Way. Enjoy.
Margie Little, Margie Little, do you think you're wise? Can you see what
hush, my home, the place where I was born. I won't return till I can toot my horn. I'll make a name for myself, like every doll on my shelf. Farewell, Cinderella, and small-town fiddle-dee-dum and fiddle-dee-dee. I'm on my way. Goodbye, grumpy fella. Farewell to dear Tweedledum and sweet Tweedledee. I'm on my way. I'm gonna miss you, you big bad bear. But like Rapunzel, I'm letting down my hair. Farewell, little Alice. I'm off like thunder to find a wonderful land. This is my day. When I play the palace, like Peter Pan, I will fly and shout to the sky. I'm on Broadway. Your dreams have made you all what you are. And now it's my turn to wish upon a star. Hush, hush, my home, the place where I was born. I won't return till I can toot my horn.
Margie? Margie Little,
Yes, Graham?
are you packing or singing?
Both, Graham.
Well, hurry and finish. Louis will be here soon and your bus leaves in 2 hours.
Yes, Graham. Let's see, do I have all that I need? Oh, yes, some little something to read on the bus. Maybe something by Dickens or Twain, something by Somerset Maugham, of human bondage or rain. Rain, of course, my umbrella. Oh no, I'm thinking too small. The rain wouldn't fall on my parade. Like you, Cinderella, I'll be the Bella, the ball glass slippers and all. Yet I'm afraid. I'm gonna miss you, you big brass bed. So for the last time, I'm laying down my head. Hush, hush, my home, the place where I was born. I won't return till I can toot my horn.
Margie, what's that noise up there?
Oh, Graham, I'm gonna miss you most of all. Oh, why am I sleepy? Please, Alice, keep me awake.
On the final note of that first song, the music immediately segues into the second song as the set breaks away in the center of Margie's large attic bedroom window and a bus pulls in. This is where the dream sequence officially begins. Behind the bus is a scrim displaying scenes beginning in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, and gradually changing to scenes depicting the cross-country travel from state to state until the scene eventually turns into the inside of the Lincoln Tunnel. The visuals behind the passenger-filled vehicle make the bus appear as if it's traveling toward the audience. Startled, Margie wakes up and, seeing the bus, she quickly jumps off the bed, gathers her 2 suitcases, and hurries aboard. Alice gets off the bed and climbs inside the bus after her. Cinderella quickly follows suit. Then, Peter Pan becomes alive and flies off the shelf over the bus. These 3 characters follow Margie throughout the dream, but she can't see them. Within the dream, that is. They live somewhere in a dimension between reality and fantasy. Each of these 3 characters are constantly fighting over whose story she's living. For example, at one point, Alice says, "The Lincoln Tunnel represents the rabbit hole through which I fell," and so on. All the people on the bus begin singing about their hopes and aspirations once they get into Big City, which is the title of the second song, Into Big City. I, of course, am playing everyone's part, so you'll have to use your imagination. With that being said, please enjoy Into Big City.
Dream stop number 22. All aboard, let's go aboard. Can't wait. Accelerate. Can't wait to get into Big City. Can't wait. Can't wait to get into Big City. Can't wait. I wanna study with Vidal Sassoon. I wanna play my guitar. I wanna marry a business tycoon. I wanna be a star. Sit down. Can't wait to get into Big City. Can't wait. Just wait. It's a hell of a city. Can't wait. I wanna dance in the city ballet. I wanna open a bar. I wanna fly for TWA. I wanna be a star. Sit down. Can't wait till we're far away from Wisconsin. Can't take one more burger from Howard Johnson. We're leaving the driving to you, but step on the gas. We're leaving the driving to you. Can't wait to get into Big City. Can't wait to get under those neon lights. To get into Big City. Can't wait to be part of those neon nights. 42nd Street, driver, get us there. Let us get our feet on Times Square. There's a bright new world just around the bend. All the fun will start if the tunnel ever comes to an end. Can't wait. Can't wait. Can't wait to get into Big City. Can't wait. Come on, Jack, step on the gas, Jack. Can't wait to get into Big City. Can't wait. Come on, Jack, let's move our ass, Jack. 28 hours we've been on the road, bumping along on a bus. Once we get into Big City, we hope Big City gets into us. Can't wait.
That was Into Big City. And in this third song, our heroine Margie arrives in the big city and attempts to ask people for directions, but nobody seems to want to give her the time of day. She gets frustrated and sits on her suitcase in the middle of Times Square and sings this song. Within this song, I also play the grandmother. Or should I say, I make an attempt. Anyway, enjoy. This song is called I'd Better Go On.
What did I get myself into? I should have listened to Gram. She said I won't last here one night. I'm starting to think she was right. Oh, it's not that I'm a coward, mind you, it's just that the people here are so unfriendly. It scares me so. There isn't a soul I know. Everybody running this way, that way, practically stepping on me, acting most definitely odd. Back in my hometown, at least folks will turn around and say hello there, how are you, or smile, or nod, or something. Wish that I were back in Oshkosh. I'll catch the first bus at dawn, just to hear Gram say, I told you. I'd better go on.
Song number 4 is sung right after Margie fails miserably at her first audition. The entire audition is like a scene from a madhouse with wacky and bizarre behavior on everyone's part. The producer is Mr. No-Heart, the writer is Mr. Some-Heart, the director is Mr. Little-Heart, the stage manager is Hal Heartless, and the accompanist is Miss All-Heart. Exasperated, Margie runs out of the theater in tears and begins racing until she reaches a wall somewhere in the vicinity of Lincoln Center. There she sits on the wall, then begins singing this next song called All This Way. In the middle of the song, the 3 characters, Alice, Cinderella, and Peter Pan, chime in, but remember, Margie can't see them. And thank goodness, because they're not very sympathetic. Once again, I play all the characters, so I hope you enjoy All This Way.
Thank you so much, Mr. No-Heart. What a perfect name. Thanks for nothing, Mr. No-Heart. I suppose I came all this way for nothing, all this way. Though I expected a lot, all I got was nothing all the way. Doing the best that I could, I was good, yeah, for nothing. What a good for nothing day. But I didn't plan it at all this way. Oh, I tried to do things very well, but I started burning inside when he tied my shoestrings and I fell. Well, if I had him at bay, I might say a few things that a lady wouldn't say. Yet if he should give me a call back, well, I'm even liable to crawl back, though I didn't plan it at all this way. All this way for nothing, and we even came on a bus. All this way for nothing. Well, she can't pin this one on us. She's a sensitive girl whose bubble has popped. So be sensible, girl, and face it, you flopped. like a star-struck glutton with a dream to tackle the town. All she got was nothing but a lousy crack at the ground. Now she sits like a bump on the wall. Girl, you better get up and stand tall, 'cause you'll never get nowhere at all this way. All this way for nothing. All this way. Cheer up, better luck next time. You did the best that you could. All I got was nothing all the way. If you think this is a nightmare, wait till you hit Hollywood. I was good, yeah, for nothing. What a good for nothing day. But I didn't plan it at all this way. What can we say? Oh, I tried to do things very well. Wake up and smell the coffee, kid, you weren't even okay. But he tied my shoestrings and I fell. Too bad, but those are the breaks, and who really cares anyway? I could say a few things that a lady wouldn't say, 'cause he made me feel so small. She was not the belle of the ball, but I didn't plan it at all this way.
Feeling dejected, Margie wanders aimlessly until she eventually sits on a park bench next to an elderly woman sitting there feeding the pigeons with a "Do Not Feed the Pigeons" sign clearly in view. The woman is wearing a blue dress covered with large white daisies containing bright yellow centers. Noticing Margie is downtrodden, the woman befriends her, introducing herself as the Duchess. Then, after a brief conversation, to further console her, she asks our young heroine if she'd care to come to her apartment and join her for a spot of tea. Margie cautiously agrees, and they soon get up to leave. On the way to the Duchess's apartment, Margie begins making small talk and tells her how much she loves her dress, to which the Duchess responds, "You do? Well, in that case, I'm sure you're going to adore my apartment." When they enter the apartment, the lights come up, and everything is the pattern of the Duchess's dress. Blue with yellow-centered large white daisies. I'm talking the wallpaper, the lampshades, the sofa, the parlor chairs, the drapes, and even right down to the rug. So it appears as if the Duchess's head is just floating about because she blends right in. Throughout the course of this scene, the Duchess gives Margie two things: a beautiful classic white dress and a book. She tells her that any time she needs advice, the book has all the answers. However, Margie is warned never to read the last page of the book, but never told why. Consequently, throughout the dream sequence, Margie is constantly tempted to read that last page, so we often find her reluctantly restraining herself from doing so. The Duchess also tells Margie that the dress is a good luck dress and can bring her good fortune if worn during the opportune time. Then insists Margie try it on for size and assists her in getting into it, as some dialogue occurs about the dress in the book. Once fully in the dress, Margie stands in front of the full-length mirror and says to the Duchess, "It's absolutely beautiful. In your youth, you must have looked stunning in it. Tell me something. What were you like?" To which the Duchess replies, "What was I like? Oh, what I was like." And then she goes into the song I'm about to sing next. Now, there was never a demo made of this particular number, but because it's one of my personal favorites from the show, I wanted you to hear it, so much so that I recorded it a cappella, just for this occasion, to give you a sample of what it's like. It's called Days in the Sun. Therefore, when the music for this grand waltz begins and the Duchess says, "What was I like? Oh, what I was like," she then sings, "When I was young I would lie on the beach, sunning myself till I looked like a peach, wondrously pretty and so out of reach. I've had my days in the sun. And at the ballroom I'd stay on the floor, twirling around till 4:01, always the last one to waltz out the door. I've had my days in the sun, and when I was in my prime, well, I scarcely had a dime. Now I've got plenty at 40, plus 20. Oh, life has no reason or rhyme. Young men were fighting to be in my life. There was a time I had 3 in my life. Now there's nobody but me in my life, for those days are over and done. But I've had my days, as you'll have your days. We all have our days in the sun. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And this becomes a grand waltz between the Duchess and Margie, after which the Duchess goes right back into the song. There was not a single trace of a wrinkle on my face, simply aesthetic without one cosmetic. But I buy them now by the case. Oh, I'm not as fresh as a peach anymore. Youth isn't quite in my reach anymore. I never go to the beach anymore, for those days are over and done. But I've had my days, as you'll have your days. We all have our days in the sun. Run-dun. And that, of course, was Days in the Sun. At the end of that number, through the course of conversation, the Duchess informs Margie that she must go to a place where all the chic and most important people go, the people that could be extremely influential in her quest for a career on Broadway. It's called Club Success, patterned somewhat like that of the old Studio 54. So that very evening, Margie is off to the club, wearing the good luck dress, of course, but is quickly informed by the man covering the main entrance, known as the Door Rat, that no unescorted females are allowed to enter. A rather shady, but also somewhat attractive young male becomes aware of her plight and approaches her, introducing himself as Mouse, then graciously offers to escort her inside. Margie, feeling somewhat suspicious and dubious of this character, thinks for a moment before eventually saying, "Okay, but no strings." Mouse says, "No strings? Are you kidding?" Margie finds his reply rather confusing, but is so desperate to get inside, she allows him to be her escort despite his rather disconcerting remark, feeling that, once inside, she can eventually find a way to lose this character within the crowd. So they both enter, and when the lights come up, there is a big dance number in progress, and wouldn't you know it, all the people on the dance floor are on strings, like marionettes, which is meant to represent how we as a society are controlled and manipulated by others. Eventually, Mouse tries to come on to Margie, and that's when this very sexy, sultry, and voluptuous African-American female suddenly descends from the ceiling, sitting on a large half-moon. She introduces herself to Margie as the Chesty Cat, telling her she was sent there by the Duchess to watch over her, then begins to sing this song, giving Margie a warning about all men in the big city. The song is entitled, Mad For.
A mouse is mad for cheese. You would have been his nightcap. Now, honey, you ain't cheese, but you're certainly a mousetrap. So, inasmuch as I'm the Duchess's best friend, I'll respect you and protect you from all mice and men. A horse is mad for hay, especially a stallion. You ain't exactly hay, but you'd certainly corral one. So when a stud is out to strut his tally-ho, I intend to teach you when to tell that pony whoa. A pig is mad for mud. He likes to wallow in it. You ain't exactly mud, but he'd wallow in a minute. So clever girls don't cast their pearls before the swine. Saying no, sir, staying kosher keeps the hogs in line. A fish is mad for bait, though it's his final clinker. And you're not only bait, you're the whole hook, line, and sinker. And when you're stacked well, girl, the mackerels love to bite. Every man'll be an animal with you tonight. A rooster's mad for hen, he sticks around the hen house. And it's the same with men, except their chicks live in a penthouse. And once a rooster gets your goose to cook, you're dead. So you better not forget a single thing I said. A mouse is mad for cheese, a horse is mad for hay, a pig is mad for mud, a fish is mad for bait, and a rooster is mad for hen. And foolish women are mad for men. So keep away from the dogs.
While in the nightclub, Margie meets all kinds of weird and bizarre characters who laugh at her behind her back, some right to her face. They eventually sing a song called Who Does She Think She Is?, the demo for which was never recorded. However, there is a reprise of this song sung later in the show as Who Do You Think You Are by Margie's poet boyfriend after a huge fight with her, so you'll get to hear it then. Meanwhile, back at Club Success, feeling somewhat humiliated and distraught, she races out of there in tears and hails a cab. Although she tells the taxi driver the name of her hotel, he eventually lets her out in this godforsaken Bowery-like place. After an eerie moment of silence, eventually 4 bums pop out of garbage cans and dance and sing this next song, warning Margie about the caterpillar, a wise old bum. The garbage can lids act as their hats. This demo is very simplistic, but in the actual show it would have a huge arrangement because it turns into a major dance number. Margie sings in the middle of the song. I, of course, again play Margie. The song is called Hookah Hoopla. At the end of the song, the caterpillar appears. He's a bum embedded in a bed of black plastic garbage bags, which act as his bed. He then offers our frightened heroine some words of wisdom.
Doom, 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 doom. Doom, 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 doom. Doom, 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 doom. Doom, 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 doom. If you meet the caterpillar smoking a hookah, don't you let him fill your head with all of his hoopla. Hookah, hoopla, hookah, hoopla. Hookah, hoopla, hookah, hoopla. He's the perfect model of a bum who can spook ya. Thinks he's Aristotle when he's puffing his hookah. Hookah, hoopla, hookah, hoopla. Hookah, hoopla, hookah, hoopla. Hookah, ding, ding, hoopla, ding, ding. Hookah, ding, ding, hoopla, ding, ding. Hookah. Why isn't anything right tonight? This just isn't my night tonight, and it wasn't my day. Now I am blessed with this motley crew. What would young Judy Garland do? With a close-up she'd say, if you meet the caterpillar smoking a hookah, don't you let him fill your head with all of his hoopla. Hookah, hoopla, hookah, hoopla. Hookah, hoopla, hookah, hoopla.
the perfect model of a bum who can spook ya. Thinks he's Aristotle when he's puffin' his hookah. Hookah, hoopla, hookah, hoopla, hookah, hoopla, hookah, hoopla, hookah, hoopla, 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 hookah, hoopla, 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 hookah,
Eventually, Margie gets the lead in a brand new Broadway musical. The producers change her name from Margie Little to Margot Starr. That's Starr with a double R. The musical, as well as Margie, becomes a huge success, turning our heroine into one of those overnight sensations. But Margie, or should I say Margot, wants more and soon leaves the show for a much greater opportunity, leaving a bad taste in the mouths of those who helped her on her way to stardom. This becomes her downfall. She becomes a very different person, very high and mighty, even with her new poet boyfriend, who represents Louis, her real boyfriend back home in Oshkosh. The young, handsome poet finally has enough and lets her have it in this next song entitled, Who Do You Think You Are? Over the initial musical intro you're about to hear, she's screaming hateful words at him, and since he's an aspiring poet, she even goes as far as to call him a two-bit Omar Khayyam, until he eventually yells out, Stop! So here is, Who Do You Think You Are?
Stop! Enough already. Who do you think you are? Why did you have to start this? How can you be so heartless, so cruel? What did I say? What did I ever do? Just yesterday I was in love with you. No more sister, don't call me second rate. What do you think I'm made of when only last night you made love to me? I don't deserve any of what you said. You've got some nerve sharing the same damn bed. You hit me below the belt. You'll never know how it felt. Girl, well, this time you've gone a little too far. You think you know who I am, but who do you think you are? What was behind each kiss when you were just pretending? I never planned an ending like this. It's very clear only a witch would lie. Therefore, my dear son of a bitch, goodbye. You haven't any right acting so high and mighty. Don't even think you might be someday. Look what you've got, but no matter what you do, I ain't got a pot, and still I've got more than you. Stop telling our friends as well that as a poet I'll never go far. I'm not just a two-bit Omar Khayyam, and you can go straight to hell if that's what you think.
final recorded demo for my never-produced Broadway show is also sung by Margie's poet boyfriend. Furious with her outrageous behavior, he angrily flees from her house, then stops short to begin singing a reprise of the song Margie sang earlier, All This Way.
Thank you so much, Margie Little. What a perfect name. Thanks for nothing, Margie Little. I suppose we came all this way for nothing, all this way. All I got was nothing all the way. I was good, yeah, for nothing. What a good for nothing day. But I didn't plan it at all this way. How I tried to do things very well, but she tied my shoestrings and I fell. I could say a few things that a sailor wouldn't say, and if she should give me a call, well, I'm even liable to crawl, though I didn't plan it at all this way. All this way for nothing, all this way. Though I expected a lot, all I got was nothing all the way. Doing the best that I could, I was good, yeah, for nothing. What a good for nothing day. But I didn't plan it at all this way. How I tried to do things very well, but I started burning inside when she tied my shoestrings and I fell. Well, if I had her at bay, I might say a few things that a sailor wouldn't say. And if she should give me a call, well, I'm even liable to crawl, though I didn't plan it at all this way.
And that's it. However, before saying goodnight, I suppose you'd like to hear how the story ends, right? Well, of course, there are many musical numbers missing, and a lot happens in between, but the end result happens when Margie just can't contain herself any longer and finally gives in to reading that last page of the book given to her by the Duchess, which she was warned never to read. We watch as she turns to the last page. Soon, her eyes light up, and her facial expression is that of complete bewilderment before she begins to read aloud. Everything in this book may not be true? That's when the dream begins to collapse, and we find Margie wildly racing to find her way back home while bumping into each character she's met along the way, who now says something that they've each said to her previously in the show, which at this point now has a much more profound meaning. Because basically, what the play is all about is a grouping of all the messages found in each and every fairy tale all rolled up into one. And this ending even has a hint of the Wizard of Oz about it, because soon she gets lost in a misty cloud, only to wake up in her Oshkosh, Wisconsin attic bedroom, tossing and turning about until she suddenly bolts up in bed, crying out hysterically. Within seconds, her concerned grandmother comes flying into the room, which is the first time the audience sees her, and discovers she's played by the same woman who played the Duchess. Her boyfriend Louis, who is planning to drive her to the bus station, also enters, and we see he's the same actor who played her poet boyfriend within the dream. And, as you can well imagine, as a result of her dream, Margie is now frightened and beginning to have second thoughts about leaving home alone, until her boyfriend Louis suddenly produces 2 plane tickets. This makes Margie's eyes light up, because earlier in the story it was clearly established that her boyfriend was against the whole idea of her leaving home alone because he wasn't planning to go to New York with her, but now she sees he is. She throws herself into his arms as Graham produces a beautifully wrapped package and hands it to Margie, saying, "It's not much, just a little farewell something." Margie takes the package and tears into it, only to discover it's the identical good luck dress given to her by the Duchess within the dream. "Do you like it?" asks her grandmother. "Oh, Graham," she says, "it's simply a dream." All 3 embrace and soon begin to exit. Graham is the last to leave, and immediately after she flicks off the light switch and closes the door, Tinkerbell flies in and lights up the stage. Then Peter Pan, now back on his shelf, proclaims to Alice and Cinderella, "See, she was living my story all along, because they're flying." Well, there you have it, folks, and that about wraps it up. I hope you enjoyed this very different presentation this evening, and who knows, maybe someday you'll be sitting in a theater somewhere watching it all unfold saying, "Hey, I was once privy to a very special presentation of that show many years ago." With that being said, thank you all for listening, and I hope to see you again 2 weeks from tonight. But for now, this is Ed Rambeau, hoping from my little corner of the world to yours, you all have an awesome evening and a fun-filled weekend ahead. Now let's return to Mr. Stu Weiss and his wonderful pop shop. Good night with buckets of love, everyone.